Okay, so hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of AI and Oats, which is my daily show where I answer some questions about AI and react to some AI news articles. But very quickly, who am I? Well, my name is Alistair. This is my YouTube channel where I teach Claude Code and Codex for knowledge work. Welcome. But I also run an AI training and consulting business called Ducks. So if you own or run a business and you'd be interested to see how AI could be implemented effectively, or if you're interested in building out your own personal operating system for knowledge work in Claude Code or Codex through one-to-one coaching, then feel free to get in touch through the link in the description. And I also have a school community where I put the actual skills and systems I use in Claude Code and Codex and go into more detail. So the link for that is in the description too. But now that the preliminaries are out of the way, let's jump into the questions. So basically the way this works is during the day, I have a Codex automation that goes and looks through various Reddit forums and news sites to pull together interesting questions related to AI and put them into this slide deck, and then I come and answer them, or usually end up just talking about something sort of random but slightly related. So first question, can I get a pass to try out Claude before switching from Codex? Yes, I mean, people can give you like week-long passes for Claude Code. I mean, you have to know someone. I don't know what plan they have to be on. Like, I don't know whether it's the max plan or what. I know I have three passes I was allowed to give out to people for like week-long trials. I don't think you can get one unless someone gives you a pass. Like, there's no like free trial as far as I'm aware with Claude Code. Would I suggest switching? I mean, yeah, I guess there's no harm if you can get a free pass to try it out. But quite frankly, like, if you're concerned I almost would say if one of your concerns is kind of like cost effectiveness, stick with Codex. I think like for me personally, I've said this a little bit, but I think Codex is, in terms of usability of the apps, I find Codex preferable, especially because of its ability to connect to the phone. Voice mode in it, I don't use voice mode absolutely all the time, but the voice mode in Codex is something fairly unique, and much better than the voice mode in Claude Code, in my opinion, or Claude rather than Claude Code, sorry. But also in terms of usage limits, you're not restricted in terms of like which models are allowed which amount of usage in Codex. You also get limit resets in Codex. I don't know which plans that applies to, but certainly on some of the plans I know you can like hit your usage limits for a week and then reset it. But I almost never hit my usage limits on Codex. Like at the moment, what I've been finding, I've been running Codex on GPT 5.6 Sol, medium, fast, which is like a really nice balance between actually not having to wait ages. But so far I haven't encountered any situations where the intelligence seems to be lacking. And to be fair, I've downgraded from like running everything on extra high or high to medium, and I feel like it hasn't actually affected the output. So far it's been good. I mean, I guess what I would say is like, I still think that Fable 5 is probably like the best model available. I think personally, just in terms of my personal preference, I would choose that. I would choose Fable 5 I would choose Fable 5, then GPT 5.6 Sol, then Opus 5. So Claude Code is kind of worth it just for the Fable 5 usage, but it is annoying that is limited to half of your plan. But I think as a kind of app and stuff, I know that Claude Code desktop app is similar to Codex, but I think Codex is a slightly preferable app. And this is like a big, for ages I just kind of ignored Codex, and I was really, really like super keen on Claude Code. But I just think recently, I think Codex is slightly better, to be honest. I think Codex is better at doing browser automation tasks, or browser use tasks, better at doing computer use tasks than Claude Code as well, because like Claude Code kind of takes over your entire computer when it's doing computer use, whereas Codex I find you can sort of still use your computer while it's doing computer use. Now, that's not to say, I mean, I still use Claude Code pretty much every day, but Codex I probably am now using more than Claude Code. And so in relation to this question specifically, like, yes, you probably can get a pass to try out Claude before switching from Codex, but whether you actually want to switch from Codex, I'm not sure you do right now. It would be tempting to choose Claude Code just to get Fable 5, but given that that would only be half the plan, I think I'd go with Codex, especially given how much I've been working from my phone using Codex, which runs, like, connecting to my laptop and then working in Codex there, or the ChatGPT app as it's now called. I think Codex at the moment. So that's quite a long-winded answer. Has anyone found Claude Code and Codex noticeably better than GitHub Copilot? I've never really used GitHub Copilot, to be honest, but I do think that Claude Code and Codex, in terms of like Frontier Lab coding agent harnesses, or if you want to extend that to knowledge work as well, are really the only two actual ones worth using for most people. I'm not really counting I know there's there's Open Code as well, which I haven't tried, which I think is similar. Okay, maybe I'll include Open Code in that category then. But I'm not really including things like, is it Z Code or something, the one from Z.ai or Z.ai, the Chinese lab. And then I don't know if there's a Kimi Code or something. I'm kind of excluding open weight models here, just from the Frontier Labs or big US tech companies. I think Claude Code and Codex right now are by far, in a way, the only ones for most people that is worth trying out, especially if you're not going to have loads and loads of subscriptions. I mean, maybe Muse Code. I haven't tried Muse Code yet because it only came out last week. I do think at some point soon probably Grokbot will be good, but I think it's good now, to be fair. I guess you could make an argument for Cursor. Okay, I've kind of gone against myself here, but certainly from my experience, Claude Code and Codex are by far the most enjoyable tools I've used. I've never used GitHub Copilot though, but compared to, certainly for knowledge work, if you compare them to other, I guess GitHub is owned by Microsoft, so I don't know if we include GitHub Copilot as a Microsoft offering, but compared to Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft Copilot is honestly unusably bad, in my opinion. It's just absolutely awful. I don't have access to Claude Code. I'm doing an internship and I don't have access to Claude Code there. I do have access to Codex, but the usage, the usage limits on the enterprise plan they have are very low, so I have to be extremely sparing in my usage of Codex. And honestly, the other day I spent hours, or pretty much hours, going back and forth with Microsoft Copilot, telling it, trying to get it to edit an Excel file, which I knew it could edit. And it just kept telling me that it could not see the actual file even when I was uploading it. It was honestly so painful. So I think honestly, just Claude Code and Codex are so far out of the, if you're not interested in going into any of the open weight kind of things, then I think Claude Code and Codex are so far ahead, in my opinion. But yeah, no, even Microsoft Co-work or whatever, which I guess is meant to be their answer to ChatGPT work and Claude Co-work, although I would still just say use Claude Code instead. But Microsoft Co-work is a bit better, to be fair, but Copilot is just unusable. And anyway, I'm pretty sure Microsoft Co-work just uses, it's not like Microsoft have any of their own models, so it's just their own harness around OpenAI and Anthropic models. And as far as I'm aware, the most recent models available in each of them is maybe they have GPT 5.6, but I think they only have Opus 4.8. I don't think they even have Fable 5 or Opus 5. So yeah, for me it's just, stick to Claude Code and Codex, I would say. Why AI agents need verified identity. Right, I haven't read the entire article, but yeah, I guess it's important. I guess there's various reasons, depending on the situation. If you're going to have different agents doing different things, it's possible that you're going to want to have them, you might want to be able to identify them, because you're going to need to have different agents allowed different permissions and ability to edit things and log into things and that sort of thing. Equally, what I find is that, because I'm pretty much working on the same projects between Claude Code and Codex, and sometimes Hermes as well, sometimes even Grokbot as well, it's quite good for them if they identify who is doing work on which thing, because otherwise they can get kind of confused. So sometimes I'll have automations that will do checks to make sure that they haven't accidentally edited other things and like gone wrong. And sometimes they'll get confused if it's not clearly labeled. Like if Claude Code is doing that automation and then does its own project, and then simultaneously I'm doing some work with Codex while that automation is running. I've had situations where if they don't have an identity, like Codex doesn't kind of log that it's the one who's done certain things, Claude Code will get confused and think that its automation has accidentally like broken out and damaged something. It's not like a major issue because it still pretty much does the automation anyway. But yeah, I do think there is some merit just in terms of like the effectiveness of the different models being able to work together and collaborate if they do kind of identify who's doing what. And then at a kind of larger scale, I guess if you're going to be setting up like multiple agents within an enterprise or something, you're going to want different ones to have different permissions and access and different tools available. And so I guess that's why you need an identity. And then the other thing is, if you're ending up with lots and lots of agents, if you can have each one like identify which work it has done, then you can, if issues arise and each of them is linked back to a specific agent, then it's easier to go and fix the root cause of those issues. That would be my thinking. It's still going. Should I let it run for another day? So right, this is a tweet from Matt Schumer about a gauntlet loop, I suppose. Yes, indeed it is. Which I guess has become like his thing over the past couple of weeks. And like, fair enough, it's quite an interesting concept. If you don't know what a gauntlet loop is, basically, it's like you take one task and tell like a very intelligent model like Fable 5, like Opus 5, or like Duty 5.6, Sol, running on like the highest effort level, so that's going to be Ultra Code or Ultra, depending on whether you're in Claude Code or Codex. Then basically you give it a goal and like a criteria or a kind of example piece against which to compare, and you let it split up the building of the task. So like a lot of these examples are for like making video games, and so you compare it to like a real video game, and then you tell it to split up the construction or like the building of this video game into different tasks, and then each of those tasks is handled by subagents, and then beyond that another subagent for each task reviews it in a blind test against the example piece. And until essentially the idea is that it keeps going and feeding back to the model and improving it and reviewing it, that it keeps looping over that process until it's indistinguishable, essentially, or until you stop it, because I guess it could just pretty much go forever, more or less. So obviously it's going to like use up loads and loads of tokens, but it does get you pretty cool outcomes a lot of the time. I mean, there's probably an argument it should be called a gauntlet graph rather than a gauntlet loop, since people are into graph engineering, and it's more like I think it kind of is a graph if you think about it, because it has like a kind of various stages of like planning and then splitting it out into different nodes, if you will, where each node is like building a section of the project, and that node within itself is a loop. So I think therefore there is an argument that it could be considered a graph, but that is, getting a little bit pedantic at that point. But it is a very interesting concept, and I do think that, now is very much the time of kind of loops and self-improvement and graphs and that sort of thing, which kind of makes sense from a logical perspective. Like if you think about how a person would approach a piece of work, it's essentially a loop just on a much longer horizon in that sense. Like if you do a task and then you get feedback, when you repeat that task you reflect on the feedback and do a better job, hopefully. So like I guess a human approach to knowledge work has been loops anyway, so it makes quite a lot of sense that within using AI agents for coding and knowledge work that we would tend towards loops. And I mean, the whole point of like agentic harnesses like Claude Code and Codex is that they do loop anyway. They have an agent loop, which is that like you give them a goal, they split it into tasks, and then they work through doing those tasks and reviewing how they've done, and then reflecting on what subsequent or remaining tasks they need to do to reach the goal. But no, I think, gauntlet loops are pretty cool, and what is also cool, which they demonstrate, is just kind of like the long time horizon for which these very intelligent models can run while orchestrating various agents. Like, I mean, they pretty much can just run for days if you're willing to spend the tokens on it. Alright, I think that is probably going to wrap it up for today. Not the longest episode ever. Hopefully there were a few interesting or useful points in there. So thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please feel free to subscribe. And just to mention again, if you're interested in seeing how AI could be implemented in your business, or working with me to help you build out your own AI operating system for knowledge work, then feel free to get in touch through the link in the description, or if you're interested in our school community, the link for that is in the description too. But thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.